Well, I'm back. We're trying this again. This, okay, who's out there? If you drop me a comment, I appreciate it. We've been having some technical difficulties here, and we're trying to get things flowing again. Welcome to Steve's Place. Like I said, we're in the middle of nowhere, 50 miles from anywhere, a place called Calnavary. So, anyway, let me throw up an invitation here. And it looks like I lost my Facebook today. And one of the things I was worried about here is our bandwidth, because sometimes, we're on Earthlink and that, and a lot of places when you get out in the middle of nowhere, um, you just can't get in there. So what I'm putting up right now is for anyone who wants to get on here. That's our hotline for tonight. On this particular one, sorry for the disruption we had. Okay, now we're going to have our conference coming up August 12th to 16th in Albuquerque. That's going to be most likely at the Crown Plaza. We can expect approximately the same rates for hotel, which was about $120 a night, as we did last year. We're charging $450 for registration. We'll be kicking that off soon. We'll be giving everyone a 50% discount up to January 31st. And so you should mark your calendars. One of the things about our move, is we are off the grid. And it's quite the thing, being off the grid because Earthlink, is we'll have some limitation on bandwidth initially, I think, until we get all the bugs worked out. If we have to get more bandwidth, we'll get more bandwidth. We also have our TV, Direct TV, comes off of this. One of the great things about this move is I'm learning a lot. I had some real problems getting Direct TV hooked up at first because I had to get the Earthlink hooked up first. But even though they were late in getting us the equipment, I just got it yesterday. They show me how to get on the smart TV directly to the Wi-Fi using the TV. So we don't even need their equipment. We just need the account. That's pretty cool. And let's see what else we got going on here. Oh yeah, I'm going to start a special on my magazines, all the back issues. Normally I sell for $200, but for this month only, I'm going to sell for $150 plus shipping. And we'll be doing probably priority mail, flat rate, whatever that comes out to be. The DV sale, we're pushing those out too. It's just going to be we got to raise some funds, folks, because this move is costing a lot more than I thought it would. In fact, we moved a garage full of books and magazines on one day, and that was thanks to Danny DeBro, who came all the way from Phoenix with his truck to help us. Now, I really appreciate that. Couldn't have done that without him. And then we turned around, and we had to move out of the apartment, and my friend Glenn Fern came all the way from Dallas, Texas, and we had to use a 26-footer for that. We got one load full of that. We had some of the local, a couple local guys come out and help us out with that. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of equipment got damaged and a lot of furniture got damaged. I don't know if we're going to be able to repair it or not. We're going to get a bunch of screws tomorrow and some Gorilla Glue and see where we end up at. Uh, in the let's see who else. But yeah, and Mitch. Mitch has been out here for almost a week, 2 weeks, helping me move everything. Mitch, for those who didn't know, he almost died. He fell, broke his neck, and had some cardiac issue they had to have fixed. And yet he's back here helping us move this stuff, and we really appreciate that. The average age of our moving crew is 70. Yeah. So we got the old guys here. Be great some young guys to show up for the big move. We pushed off the our big move until for a month or two because we're just so wore out from this one. Plus, we're gonna have time to take and put it and rebuild everything. I was gonna do a walkthrough on the our facility. Our facility is about 6,000 square feet. It sits on a 10,000 square feet of a lot. But everything out here, we're pretty rugged out here. Our water we get from a community well, and it has like a pump, that has to pressurize our house every time you turn on the water. Took us a while to get that figured out. This house has a crazy heating air conditioning system. He has about a couple like in room ones, and he has a couple that cover the whole house. So I got to figure out what thermostat goes to where. Still figuring that out. Same thing for light switches. You get all these light switches that don't seem to do anything. So we got to learn all that stuff. It's a learning experience. Everything I've been doing takes time to learn. Our computer broke down. We keep getting this page interrupt. It has something to do with the dynamic memory for the way Windows handles things. It's kind of funny when Windows 10 I was discontinued. Support was discontinued. All of a sudden, we started getting these page interrupts. It's like they're trying to force you into Windows 11, which we now have on the new computer, but our software is old. Our equipment is old. For instance, I just got our scanner hooked up. Turns out the last update for that software was in 2008. So that gives you some idea what we're working for. My HP 3005, great machine, but again, it's old and ancient. It doesn't have the wireless thing on it. I have a new respect for some of the wireless systems there. Now that I live out in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, Crypto Alchemist asked 360 asks, I wish I was there to help you myself. How far from LA are you located? Well, we're just as far from LA as Kingman is. We're, for those of you who want to locate me, I'm at a place called 70 Piute Road or Valley Road, okay, and that's in Cal Neveri. That's California, CAL-NEV for Nevada -ARI, Cal Neveri. It's a very small town founded by the Kidwells back in the 50s, maybe a little bit earlier, at a time when you can homestead stuff. And all you have to do is stake out your claim and prove that you could survive, and then they'd give you the land. Back in the day, So So that's where we are. 75 UT Valley Drive, Calavera, Nevada, uh, 89039. I still have to get a P.O. box. Uh, the electricity was shut off. Yeah, the owner shut it off. You know, and I forgot to get it turned on before he could turn it off. And so I wake up. There's no electricity. You know, it took 3 hours to get past AI. You know, the AI systems they have um, designed to keep you from getting a problem solved. You know, AI is supposed to save all this money. Well, it saves the companies because they don't have to hire the people to do the work. Because by the time the AI gets done with people, they get so discouraged they just walk away. It's pretty disgusting. But it took me 3 hours to get to the AI, and one person who took 15 minutes to get the problem resolved, and they were able to turn the power back on remotely. You know, they turn it on remotely, they turn it off remotely, and they can turn it on remotely. You know, uh, it's pretty insane. Uh, and for me, I had to have oxygen, so it kind of puts a damper on it. Uh, I do know it takes a half hour for the EFTs to come from Laughlin, which is about 50 miles away to the southeast. And if they were to take me in, they would take me over to Bullhead City. And for a guy who's on VA, you don't want to be in Bullhead City because you don't want to be risked being in the Phoenix VA system. It's all messed up over there. Here I'm in the Las Vegas VA system, and it's great. Our phone number is still the same. There's a lot of good things about AI, but like to remotely turn on equipment but only to a point. I mean, it's very limited on what AI can really do. And this preponderance of a move to AI is really disturbing because what it's doing is it's taken away from the ability of people to learn a job, because it's taking away entry-level jobs. People need entry-level jobs to learn the higher-level jobs. I've seen at one point they say that they don't have enough help, and they also want to cut education expenses by not funding education. And then they turn around and say, "Well, these kids, you know, they can't learn how to do these jobs." That's a bunch of BS. You know, people can learn whatever they need to learn. You'd be surprised at what people can learn. They just have to have the proper education for it. And if we're not willing to do the education, then how can you expect people to know? You know, it's really a mess. You know, but regardless, we still need to promote independent researchers. I think that's where the greatest gains are going to be for us. You know, the people who are not the ultra millionaires. You know, these ultra millionaires, they have all this money. It's like they don't. I don't know if it's really that they don't care or that they can't care, because they don't live like real people do. You know, they don't have to go shopping. You know, and they don't have to know what it's like. But I think a lot of people here are in for a rude awakening, because I'm looking at these job numbers, you know, just skyrocketing. And all I can say is, heaven help us. Just keep up the stiff upper lip, and keep doing your research. The research is what this planet needs more than anything else. It's going to be up to people like us, I do believe, to come up with the real solutions. You know, corporations don't come up with the radical the radical research, the radical breakthroughs, because they're tied down by uh, their rigid thinking, thought processes. They're great at incremental, uh, but I mean, they can't even get their heads around global warming. So how are they going to resolve something that they can't even imagine? And yet you're seeing the impact every day. We're seeing the impact. We got a lot of rain here the other day, and that's kind of interesting. How this rain is starting to shape up. People don't understand that the reason hurricanes are so much more damaging than in the past, is because of global warming. The air is warmer. Warm air holds more water. Straight physics. Okay. Each gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. Have you ever been in a place like Illinois in the middle of August? You can barely breathe, the air seems so heavy. Well, you figure, like in a couple acres, the cornfield put up a million gallons of water in a day. So that's 8 million pounds of force it has. And that's one of the reasons it doesn't go too far before it starts raining. So the cycle is you have like rain every night, the water comes up in the air, moves over at night, then drops it, And so it slowly works its way over on these nightly storms there. Hurricanes are getting more intense because they're carrying so much more water. And they're so much heavier, and they move so much slower because of that. Because, again, you're moving millions of pounds of mass, okay, are being moved. And it's going to move slower. And then when it does hit, it's hitting harder. It's like taking what would have been 100 pounds of force, multiplying that by 8, and a million that by 8 million, and therefore it's going to cause more damage. That's what we're seeing over and over again. You'd be surprised, even out in the desert, the middle of nowhere, especially like in southern Arizona, they require the trailers to have hurricane tie downs, in a place that you wouldn't expect to see any hurricanes. And you do get I think I've seen maybe 1, maybe 2 hurricanes at the tail ends of them as they come up the Gulf of Mexico. They get to central Arizona before they peter out. So that's quite a feat. And for what is your phone number, Steve? My phone number is 520-252-0374. That's my cell phone. But our office number is 520-463-1994. And that just gets forwarded to me if there's no one there to answer. So, and it's just been one of those weeks, I am so dead tired. I mean, we carried about a trailer load and a pickup truck load of sheer mass, and then you turn around and you get the whole apartment. It took us one 26-footer and about a half a dozen carloads packed to the gills of moving. It's the gas prices hasn't gone down. The one thing about living out in the middle of nowhere is you got to plan your day. You plan, okay, I'm going to go to town. This is what I'm going to do. And I've lived out in the country before. I love living out in the country. It's quiet. I sincerely believe that our brainwaves intrude upon each other. And like if you ever get in a city where you're in a big crowd and everything, and you seem confused, well, that's because our brainwaves are mixing with other people's brainwaves. And out here in the middle of nowhere, it's really quiet. I mean, at night it's pitch dark, you can see the stars really brightly, We have an observation deck here. You know, they built a tower out here where you can go up and look at the stars and that, which is pretty cool. We live on I-95, on I-95, pardon me, on US 95, coming straight out of Boulder City, straight south. Um, we're just about 10 miles south of Surfside, and we are on the main road. I mean, as you come down, flying down 95, we're the very first house that you encounter in Calaveras on the right there. The very first one, you know. So it's easy to find. It looks like I don't know, Southwestern decor with a square cut type of building. It's just great, you know. We even have a windmill up there. Maybe I'll get ambitious, you know, and put a generator up there. Who knows? Uh, it's great, you know. Um, Going from a 2-bedroom apartment into this place is like 6,000 square feet. We have like a 6-car garage with a huge man cave and in the back, and right adjacent to the main house, you know, you have the big kitchen. I'm sitting right here in a little day room, which is right off the main master bedroom, and then behind that, you have this long corridor, which you have where your washing machine, your dryer, and the laundry area, and even more storage, you know, for like clothes and that, you know, and these humongous clothes closets. And then you go out in like this courtyard, they have a workshop area. I haven't even been in the workshop area yet, you know, been so busy. And then across the angle from there, it used to be a ham shack, and they converted that into like a bedroom, you know, a spacious bedroom with a big counter, you know, you can do all kinds of stuff with. It's a great place, you know. Um, and then you come back in, and we'll have Terry Wolf's office. And that brings me to a sad note here. Terry Wolf right now is undergoing treatment for cancer, and we pray that he makes it. He barely made it on the plane when he left here for Ohio. They had to put him on a wheelchair to get him in the plane, and then he got treated in Ohio, and today he's being moved out to Idaho to a treatment facility there, and hopefully he'll be there a month and recover from this pancreatic cancer. I hear more and more about that every day. You open up and pancreatic cancer is making the news. We just lost John Peterson just a couple weeks ago to pancreatic cancer. You know, I don't know why. I don't know why this pancreatic cancer all of a sudden is popping up. It's, who knows? It could be the CIA's new version of the artificially induced heart attacks. You know, it's just terrible. And so we also say a prayer for Terry's health and his recovery, because, quite frankly, I was counting on him being here because he's moving in. As soon as he gets out, he'll be moving in down here. And this is, like I said, this is a great place to be. And we plan to rebuild everything here. Once we get set up, I'm giving seriously consideration to restarting the magazine. I prefer writing as opposed to speaking. I'm not a good speaker. Never claim to be, but I think I'm a good writer. You know, at least that's what people tell me. You know, and that's where my strength is in writing. Now, for future shows, next week we'll have Jeff Hayes here. Jeff has a new book out about Tesla technology and how it's going to revolutionize the world, and how it is revolutionizing the world. Okay, and then we're going to have Hackasay, Mr. Hackasay here, and he's going to be doing a basic kind of like primer on Tesla coil, getting us kind of prepped up for the conference in June, or pardon me, in July, not August. He'll be doing a presentation in August on Tesla coils and RF technology and scalar waves. So it should be pretty good. Mr. Hackasay has been, if you've ever been to Aaron's conferences up in Idaho, he's been there. And this year we're getting a pretty good lineup of conferences. Okay, we're going to have a New Living, I believe, is going to be in April up in the Bay Area. I'm thinking about going there. I might even do a presentation on Tesla's car. I don't know. But you got the New Living Expo in April. I think Lori Fenton's having a UFO conference in the Bay Area in March. And you got Contact in the Desert. That'll be on Memorial Day weekend. And it looks like Aaron's will probably be late June. And I don't know about Psychotronics yet. Usually they're in July. Mine will be in second week of August, August 12th, the 16th. I encourage everyone to come to these conferences. There's nothing like going to a conference to learn. I have a hard time just watching videos and that. Well, I have a hard time trusting. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anything until I actually see it for myself. It's like money. People tell you they're going to give you money. Well, until it's in my hand, it's all hogwash. Same thing with the science and technology. People tell you that they did this, they did that, but until you can actually see what they did, for yourself, it's a story, okay? And that's why we have the conferences, is so people can bring their devices, and you can actually see them physically function, or you can see them physically fail, and maybe help analyze why they are failing. Just because something fails doesn't mean that it's useless. And every setback, you should take back something positive. I know this way ain't gonna work. If nothing else, it should give you clues, on how to pursue things in the future. I have always been more keen on hands-on stuff than I have on theory. Like sports. Sports are great if you're playing them. I'm not into sports as a spectator, and that's it's really frustrating for when I see out in the building these $1 million sports arenas, and yet they have this humongous issue with homelessness, and everybody wants to say, well, the people are homeless, it's their own fault. Well, you can say that till it happens to you, I've had to camp out myself, at times, so it's not from lack of trying, it's not from lack of will. Sometimes things happen beyond your control. And right now, things are happening behind a lot of people's control. They get laid off. All of a sudden, you go from a 6-digit income down to maybe a 1 or 2 digit, or begging on the streets. Does that make you a bad person? No. So we need to think about our homeless. Take care of the homeless people, and pray that you never go there. And and it's a biblical thing too. In the days just prior uh, to the captivity, Babylon captivity, uh, the Israelites forgot, to take care of their poor and refused to let the poor even glean the fields, and the rich got richer and the poor got poor, and that's kind of where we're at, And then what happened is the Babylonians come in and cart off all the rich people to Babylon and put them in captivity. Uh, so, so that's God's working his punishment on them. He told Isaiah he was going to do that. Actually said, when Isaiah was asking, Lord, how can you allow this to happen? The Lord says, I have a plan. I would tell you the plan, but you wouldn't believe me. Quite the plan. So, and I noticed that our YouTube channel is experiencing a big drop off. I encourage anyone who is out there to become a member, join it. It's $9 a month. It really helps us keep everything going from day to day. As soon as we get our computers back online, that I will make an effort to start getting some more videos. The problem is the computer I use to convert the DVDs into MP4s, it died. It hits all these page faults. And so I can't get these full videos off. And now the new computer I have, I had to get my software. I'm having some real difficulty in getting the software. My software is 10 to 20 years old. My software is standalone software. That means we bought it once, we have it forever. Okay, so the problem is my original software is in the storage unit, buried in the storage unit. So we'll be getting that out to convert some of this stuff. But in the meantime, we have some folks out there who are working on getting some shorts out. They're supposed to get a short out a week, maybe more. We're going to really boost that. So we want to boost the YouTube channel. We're going to have a live feed for those who can't make it, or those who do make it and want to have it available immediately, 24/7. We'll have the live feed. You can do both. A lot of people do. So I'm looking forward to this year. It's going to be, this coming year is going to be really, it's going to be a challenging year, probably the most challenging in our life, because so much stuff has been disrupted in the whole economy. But thing is don't get freaked out by it and everything. Just hang in there and just continue doing the research on that. Sometimes it's best not even to look at it because it's like one of those roller coasters where you get way up at the top and you plunge right down, and drop your belly out. Well, that's the kind of ride we're in for the next year, I think. But we are going to have a conference. We're going to have a great conference. And we're going to build our YouTube channel back up. Once I get this place lined up again, get my new computer here, I need another one, and I need software. Now, the issue with the software is not only is the software I bought is old, but standalone. It means I bought it once and I have it forever, so I can use it forever without paying somebody to the nose. Now, they want you to subscribe to this software. And the subscriptions, are actually pretty expensive, and they want to charge it every year, So, you just can't catch a break. It's kind of like a car, I have a truck. I have a 67 F-150. It's going in the shop. Next week I'm having a transmission problem. It can't go forward, and when you can't, if I can't get to go forward, it goes backwards, okay, but it just won't go forward. We think it might be a plug on the new transmission of that, but we're taking it to the shop. We're going to have it fixed up. Uh, our mechanic, he's one of us. He always helps us out with a lot of stuff, and he's a really good mechanic. Because a lot of times you go in these shops and they just, well, one guy already told me, he said, "Oh, torque converter, didn't even look at it, torque converter, $1,500." It's like, right, uh, thanks but no thanks. I don't think it's a torque converter. I think it's an electrical problem. So anyway, Paul's going to take care of that next week. And I'm going to put the money into this truck, even though it's a 97. It's 1997. What is that? Almost 30 years old. So it's great to have. Because you have no car payments on it. Your insurance is minimal. Okay, and I could put $5,000 in that truck and have a truck that looks brand new to be riding around in. That does me just as much good as a new one. Plus, it can't be tracked. Unlike these new trucks, they're watching you all the time, and they know where you are. You know, uh, and if you're carrying a cell phone, they know where you are also. But you can always get rid of the cell phone. Um, and I don't even know if taking the battery out of the telephone even works. Used to. But anyway, the 97 will run forever. Take care of it. And I also have a 2006 Chrysler there, Sabrine. Thanks to my friend Chuck, and you keep that car running, it'll run forever. It also doesn't have a lot of the tracking stuff on it, but it's very cheap. It costs less to keep cars repaired than it is to buy a new one. I'm looking at a Ford F-150, $100,000 truck. $100,000, I could buy a place out here. For $100,000. It's ridiculous. And that's the companies. If you're looking for a new vehicle, I suggest you wait for about 6 months. You're gonna start seeing it collapsing. Well, you already start to see it, but you gotta give it time to build, and you get a pretty good deal off a vehicle. I think in about 6 months. So I'd like to have maybe one, just to go to conferences in. But other than that, I use AAA and our local shade tree mechanics. And these cars are fairly simple. They can still use that little car reader there, for some, but for the most part, I used to have a '67 Chevy. Yeah, I lost that when I moved from Arizona. I really kind of miss that too. I love that thing. I mean, you can tear that thing apart. There's absolutely no electronics on it, and we've had that vehicle tore down to the crankshaft, and when Chuck was gonna put some new bearings in there, he couldn't. It wouldn't fit because we use a liquid ring, and liquid ring. Ralph Silas used to sell with liquid ring, and rebuilt that and everything. That's another a product I hope to be bringing back to the market. I'd like to see it come back. We have a lot of good technology out there, and I'm sure that we'll come to my conference. You're going to see a lot of technology there too. Some of the stuff is so new and so good that's hard to get people to buy into it. But a lot of the stuff really works, and we live in dangerous times right now, really dangerous. Do you realize that your blood now is starting to have plastic nanoparticles running through it? And like I have a basic cholesterol problem. I don't believe cholesterol is a problem. I have an artery clogging my arteries tend to clog up. I probably should drink a lot more vitamin C. Uh, the problem is with this nanoparticles, okay, plastic. Um, it's your body doesn't know what to do, and so it's kind of binds, into your articles, and it just kind of clogs them up. And I had a clogged artery last year, 99%, and it was calcified, and that's why I'm stopping my vitamin D. I think I'm calcified because of vitamin D at this point, so I'm going to dump that. But the calcification, they used a high-speed drill to go up my vein through the heart and into the artery that was calcified. They used a high-speed drill. It's able to drill that out. You're sitting there. It sounds like a dentist drill. And I tried feeling it, but I couldn't feel nothing. But by having it drilled out, as soon as they did that and they pulled it out, all of a sudden it's like an elephant got off my chest and I could breathe again. So if you ever have problems breathing, consider it could be a cardiac problem, not really a pulmonary problem, and a cardiovascular, more on the vascular side than the cardio side. I think these doctors get too focused on their heart, and the real issue is in the vessels, the vascular system. That's what I do really truly do believe. Anyway, it's getting kind of late, and I've been off. I've been tired. I'm very tired. I just want to reiterate, our conference is going to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, August 12th to 16th. We are going to be charging $450 for registration. We're going to have an initial offering of 50%. That's my way of fighting inflation is if you get in early, do the planning, you get a better deal. I live out in the middle of nowhere, so I know all about planning ahead. The more you plan ahead, the more you can save. Our hotel will most likely be the Crown Plaza. I'll be finalizing that here in another week or two. And I'm hoping to have the same rates, if not lower, than last year. Okay. And if you have any comments about the conference and that, get them to me. If you want to speak at the conference, get me an abstract immediately. I'm starting to pull the abstracts together and going through them. I need to get my editing software, and then I'll start putting together the program. I'm hoping to be at the New Living Conference. I'm hoping to make contact. I'm hoping to make Aaron's conference. But I want to have a program out before that happens. So people need to get their abstracts in if you're going to speak or want to speak. No guarantees. We look at the abstracts and then see what forms up and where the interest of the audience is going. We've come a long ways. I've been doing this since 1984. That's about 40 years. 40 years. And we started off strictly energy. And since then, we've veered off into energy and medicine because it turns out that medicine, the human body and life is based on energy. Okay. And so they're all started tying together in that. And then we've also veered off into plasma technology and anti-gravity. It's all tied together, and somehow Tesla had intuitive knowledge about this, and that's to come off. His work kind of revolves on these three things, basically focused on frequency now. And one thing to let you all know is that frequency All that means is it's just like cyclical, cycles. And if you figure out the cycles, you can figure out where everything is. And anyway, I'm sorry that we had such a rough beginning. Somehow our YouTube channel got messed up, and then also I had to go through and start over again. And I do want to do one more thing here. Okay, I want to take and bring up this directory, a PNG. If it's going to come, I guess it won't. I guess I'm not going to have it. Anyway, I had hoped to give you a guided tour of our house. Maybe I might be able to do that in the future. And that it'd be great if you guys can some of you guys want to visit, just give me a call. So we'll see what happens then. In the meantime, thank you so much. See you next week. We'll have Jeff Hayes on here. I'll be sending out a little abstract on that sometime early this week. And like I said, if you have any comments, feel free to send them to steve@testdetect.info. And let me get rid of this. Oh boy. steve@testdetect.info. I do read that email every day. And I just hope to see you all next week. And you all have a good day, and I'll see you next week again. Take care. Bye.